Okay, so what I'm about to do is I'm about to show you how to write an FRQ. So the first thing that I need to do, as always, is I need to read my directions. My directions basically state that I need to study the image below and record my initial impressions on the side. All right, so what I'm going to do, because I am using a computer, I am going to include my comments to the right. All right. So the first thing that I notice is the title. The title is Dairy Farms in the United States. So title is Dairy Farms in the US. All right. So I read that. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to continue reading. I see source United States Department of Agriculture, 2012. The map shows the distribution of dairy farms across the lower 48 of the United States. Each dot on the map represents approximately 10 dairy farms. Title is Dairy Farms in the US. I notice there are a lot of dairy farms located in the northern states, specifically in the Midwest region of the US. Okay. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, even New York. I'm gonna, in parentheses, I'm gonna put those states: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and New York. All right. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read my first question. My first question is asking me to identify hold up, wait a minute. I forgot to continue reading my criteria for success. Okay, so analyze the stimulus map. Hey, that was kind of like what I just did. Read the title. That's exactly what I did. I made observations from the map. I did that as well. What area of the country is this? I noticed it was located in the Midwest. What do you know about this area of the country? What is it that I know about this area of the country? So about this area of the country, so this is the Midwest. This is where milk and cheese are grown. It is typically colder here. The landforms, rich landforms, which allow for the growing of crops. This is also the Rust Belt. Okay. All right, so that's what I know about this area of the country. All right, so the next thing that I need to do is I need to annotate the prompt. I need to circle the task. Well, because I'm online, I clearly can't circle the task, but I can identify the task. Identify one type of boundary data shown on the map. Identify one type of boundary data shown on the map. So boundary data. So clearly I can see these states. In fact, there are 48 of the states. Of course, it's missing Alaska and Hawaii, but I see these 48 states. That's one boundary. That's a formal boundary. But because this is giving me information on dairy and dairy farms specifically, this is telling me that this is the region of the country in which there are the most dairy farms located. So because of that fact, this is the node or the center point. So if this is the node and the center point, that means this is a functional region. Identify one type of boundary data shown on the map. So for A, one type of boundary data shown on the map is a functional borders. It's a functional border. A functional border has a node or center point as seen in the map above. Okay, so one type of boundary data shown on the map is a functional border. A functional border has a node or center point as seen in the map above. And I also closed my loop. I closed my loop because I identified one type of boundary data. I specifically mentioned the type of boundary data and then also the map above. All right, now I'm going to skip to E, describe two geographic features not shown on the map that would help explain the patterns of dairy farming shown on the map. All right, so let's assume the computer automatically generated the B, but we know that for our purposes, this is an E. Describe two geographic features not shown on the map that would help explain the patterns of dairy farming shown on the map. So I know that for this, I need to describe. My ACE tells me that for this E question, E, answer the question in at least one complete sentence and define vocabulary terms. And also E, in sentence 2, cite evidence to support your answer with details. And I need to specifically use the economy, society, politics, or the environment from this image. And then also for E, in sentence 3, identify examples that help to explain your answers. Well, the question is asking me for examples, so that's going to be easy. All right, so describe two geographic features not shown on the map that would help explain the patterns of dairy farming shown on the map. All right, so I am going to use climate as one because you have to have a certain type of climate that would allow for dairy farms to exist, and also a certain type of landform, meaning specifically soil type. Okay, so those are my two. But hold on, let me think for a second. So both of those are environmental in nature. Let me think. Well, in general, we're talking about agriculture. Agriculture falls under economic. Okay, so there I go. All right, so two geographic features not shown on the map. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, all right, so the two geographic features not shown on the map are climate and guess what? Dairy farming is agriculture. So just by mentioning that, I can't say that because that's the given. The given is the agriculture. Let me think for a second. So family, women, gender roles, social classes, healthcare, education, laws. You know what? I can mention industry. I can mention industry. All right. So the two geographic features not shown on the map are climate and industry. Because dairy farming requires a temperate climate for the production of milk and other dairy farming. Also, the area requires the necessary industry needed to ship the goods, specifically meaning milk, cheese, all over the country. There I go. So I've satisfied all parts of the CFS.